The Heller case was the first major case in the Supreme Court that really did a lot. It's one of the first times that the Supreme Court basically overturned and threw out a gun law. That is extremely significant. The decision basically involved around you couldn't again own a gun, a handgun in your own home, or a functional firearm, a shotgun or a rifle had to be broken down so it couldn't be used. That case was very important because it established the individual right of a person to have a gun. In this case, it wasn't limited to your own home, but the case that involved a law that limited it to the gun in your own home. Of course, you couldn't take it out of your home either under the laws in Washington, D.C. either. And so what happened is we accomplished two things with that. One, we established the individual right to begin with, and two, we knocked out a law that was on the books that was anti-gun rights. That was extremely significant. That built the platform that you could then say that we have this right, so who else in the states and the localities are infringing on that right? Chicago, the McDonald versus Chicago case was very important because that's the one that incorporated the 14th Amendment, so that the Second Amendment was all now applicable to cities and states. Not only knocked out the Chicago handgun ban, it gave you then the legal right to take any other state and local law that infringe on your gun rights to federal court. That was extremely, extremely important. The Bruen decision, say that's two legs on the three-legged stool, so to speak. The third leg was Bruen, and the Bruen decision knocked out a New York state law that made it next to impossible to get a permit to carry a firearm because it was a May issue. You had to show need. And if you couldn't show a special need that your life was threatened today, they wouldn't give you a permit to have the gun. And of course, most people can't do that. And that really is a direct infringement on your right of self-defense, a means of self-defense of having the gun to begin with. And so when the court knocked that out, that pretty much established a limitation of how far courts could go. The other part of the Bruen that was extremely important is they changed the level of scrutiny that you needed to pass to be able to win a case in court. Up to that time, there was a rational basis test, an intermediate scrutiny test, a high scrutiny level test, strict scrutiny. And for us, it had to show strict scrutiny, and the burden of proof was on you as the plaintiff, not on the government to defend the law. So the government could come in and argue, well, okay, there's a right to keep and bear arms. You have this right, but it's in conflict with public safety. And so, we're passing these laws to protect the people because some people misuse guns. And as a result, we have this need to do it, and the courts would basically say, okay, there's an individual right, but the government has this compelling interest to protect the public so they can do whatever they want to do. And it shot holes right through the whole Second Amendment. Bruen changed it all, and it's now those levels of scrutiny don't matter. They don't count. It doesn't matter that the government, quote unquote, wants to save a life, so to speak, or a gun could be misused. Now it's about what was the text, what does the text say, and what is the history of the Second Amendment? Why is it there? What rights does it protect? And now there's government laws. The burden's on the government to show that these laws don't infringe on the text and the history. And that's why now it's shifted in our favor.